always come talk to you all. Have to always come talk to you all. See those clouds behind me? It's about to rain over here where I am. I just wanted to come do this video. How are you doing? Who's there? I see one person popped in. Say hello to me. Is you there? How is everyone doing? Come on in. I have my oil on my face. I want to look too shiny here. But listen, I was supposed to bring you all with me to South Salsa. You know, I was enjoying myself too much, so I didn't do an actual video in there in the class because when I got in there, I forgot all about it. I did, hey Dominique, I did record me walking to the class, but as far as recording while I was there, I didn't do it. I was having too much fun. I was enjoying myself. Hey Rubia, how are you? Listen, I just wanted to come and do this video. I always wanted to do this video, right? And I just wanted to do this. Oh, you're welcome, Dominique. I'll be trying to come deliver as much as possible. As much as possible, I try to come. But I really wanted to do this one here. I've always wanted to do this one to give some people some clarity. Oh, this is a blouse. This is a top. Thank you. The one from yesterday or today? This one I have on. This is a top. But thank you. I'll be trying to dress comfortable, to my liking. But listen, I want to come share with you all and talk to you all about 5 things I learned from growing up in the hood. A lot of people want to, place like negative connotations on, growing up in the hood. And now I didn't grow up in the ghettos. The ghettos are different. They use those terms interchangeably, but I didn't grow up in the slums. I know. I be trying not to do it, Dominique, but it's just in me. I be trying not to shut up like that, but it's in me. It's in me. I be trying to, be professional and, prissy and stuff, and that funny side just come on up out of me. I be trying to run from her, but she come and run me down and tell me that she's part of me, so I have to look. That funny side of me just tell me I'm part of you, so you can't run from me. But listen, I wanted to come talk to you all. I wrote a few notes down and just talk to you all about what 5 things growing up in the hood taught me. Hope I don't be long-winded. Hope I don't be on here for an hour and a half. I'm gonna try not to be. But according to the Urban Dictionary, I had to look up the dictionary hood, right? Um, the hood is a neighborhood, especially an urban neighborhood, inhabited predominantly by African Americans of low socioeconomic status. That's what hood is. And that's what I could, kind of relate to, right? So it was just low socioeconomic status. And, when I grew up, before I knew that I grew up in, like what they would call poor, I didn't know I was. I didn't know because, when you grow up in the hood, you don't be having nothing to compare that you are lacking. You don't have nothing to compare yourself to because everybody around you, they live the same way. They got the same situation going on. But it was not like we were starving or anything. So I really didn't, I really didn't think nothing of it as a child, right? Um So I really didn't think nothing of it. I knew that I received free lunch when I was younger because my grandmother raised me and she got some assistance, raising us. I didn't know she received assistance until I got older. You don't be knowing. Your parents don't put you in their business, right? But anyways, I learned some things and I learned some valuable lessons growing up with humble beginnings. A lot of people want to run from that. A lot of people want to dismiss or disassociate with how they were brought up. I'm going to think I never disassociate with how I was brought up. I'll never be ashamed of it because I learned valuable lessons from that, right? And the first thing that I've learned from growing up is in the hood, right? I learned how to work for everything that I want. I learned that if I want something, I'm gonna have to work for it. I learned that early on when my grandfather bought me my first car at age 16. But even before then, I always had this little hustler mentality. People look at you and just think, they automatically judge you based on how you look and how you act and how you present yourself. But I always had this hustling mentality in me. I didn't know where I got it from. I didn't know why I was like that, but I just had it in me. And let me tell you, God took me back the other day. He took me back to when they used to have bottles. Remember they used to have the bottles, the drinks, the Cokes and the Sprites and the different drinks, the bottles. I don't know if it was like in your community where you could cash those bottles in and you get 10 cents a bottle. I remember you get 10 cents a bottle if you take those bottles into the store. I used to do that as a child. I'm like, Lord, I've always had this hustler, like work mentality. I always had this in me. It wasn't something that just, that I just started doing. I've always had that. So he brought that back to my attention. I'm like, oh my goodness. Then I thought about all of the other things that I've done over my lifetime. I don't did some everything. Listen, I've done some of everything. Like those multi-level marketing companies. I tried prepaid legal. I tried the company called 31. I did. It was another one I did. I don't remember what was this other one I did. 31 gifts, and there's another one I did. There was another one I did, but I was doing good with 31 gifts because I used to sell to the people at work. But I've done some of everything, right? I was taught you work for what you want. Whatever you want, you just have to work for it. However you got to work for it, don't mean that you go on a job to get it. That means you be creative, right? That's part of working, being creative. I used to do hair. Look, I used to do hair when I was in high school. I used to sell candy and pickled sausages and Rice Krispies. I did some of everything. I always had this little hustler, mentality because I believe, like I said, growing up in an area where you don't have a whole lot of money, you have to learn how to hustle. You have to learn how to get out and get, money for yourself that's legal. I did quite a few things that were legal. I did all the legal businesses when it wasn't too legal because, look, that was just some little side stuff. But, it wasn't harming anyone, is what I'm trying to say. So I did those, right? I used to do hair. I did nails. I was a licensed nail tech. Oh, my goodness. I did some everything. But the first thing, it taught me how to work for what I want. And I appreciate that, right? The second thing growing up in hood taught me is resilience. Taught me how to be resilient, regardless of what I have going on or what is coming up against me. I had to learn to be resilient. I had to learn to deal with whatever opposition that I was up against. I had to learn how to be resilient. I had to learn to keep going. Can't give up. You can't. I couldn't sit and mope and cry about things that I couldn't control. Right? Taught me to be focused and determined and you know just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I didn't have time to sit and mope and complain and covet. what my friends had. You know, because growing up in the hood, you got some other children who seem to have a little bit more than you, but they all grow. You know what used to get me. Let me tell you what used to get me. When you got children, and this is the mindset, sometimes we have that we got to get out of when we growing up in the hood. You have children, they all are in the same group, all in the same group, same socioeconomic class, but yet some could get a little bit more than the others, right? They can get a little bit more than the others, than the ones who can get a little bit more. Sometimes look down on the other ones who can't afford it. But no, we're still in the same class. We're still in the same. I've seen this with kids in the projects. Like all of y'all live in the projects. Like, why are you guys sitting there looking and talking about someone else? No, and I'm not talking down on the students who, people who did, but it's just like the mindset, like that, that we have and that I saw, growing up. But anyways, taught me how to be resilient, which means that I was never the one, because I know my grandmother didn't have a whole lot of money. I never was the one that put pressure on my grandparents to get me the latest whatever. So I had to be resilient and wear what I had. Whatever she bought me, whether it was ugly, cute, didn't match, I was happy for it. And that's going to lead me to my next point, number 3. Growing up in the hood taught me how to be appreciative. I learned how to be appreciative for what my grandmother did, because she didn't have to take us in. She didn't have to take in me and my siblings. She was just doing the best she could, and whatever clothes she got, that's what I wore until I was able to become a little older, get me a job, and get my own things, get the things that I like. But I never put pressure on my grandparents to get me certain things. I was just appreciative for what I had, right? That's something that I didn't do, but it taught me to be appreciative and thankful. Yes, and thankful. Taught me to be thankful, and I, thank God for that. And then the fourth thing it taught me is how to fight. Growing up in the hood, you gotta learn how to fight. I mean, physically fight, mentally fight, all types of fight. You gotta learn how to fight. Fight with your mouth, fight back. Whichever way they come for you, you gotta learn how to fight back. Because you have people who just want to, I guess, create an issue with you when you don't have one with them, right? You got to learn how to fight. You got to learn how to keep people. What we say, we got to keep. You have to learn how to keep people up off you, get them up off you, which means you got to learn how to push back. You got to be able to stand up to the bullies, and that's what you have to learn. Because you had some people just had some issues going on at home, and they get to school, and that's just not in the hood. But I'm just talking about what I've learned, and it don't just happen in the hood, because I see it in other areas too. I see it in other areas. But you have people going through things at home, and then they come to school, they take it out on the people closest to them, and they're just because they're in pain, you know. So you gotta learn how to fight. You gotta learn how to fight. If you don't know how to fight physically, you better learn how to joke or jive or something. You have to learn something where people won't bother you. And I was a comedian, so I really didn't have to fight per se with my fist, but I always used to joke and like get people up off me. I used to, talk about some flaw or something, they had going on. So that was my way of fighting. Listen, they're not gonna come for me. I'm just gonna say something, and people don't like folks laughing at them. So that's how I was able to cope, by joking and being hilarious, right? And number 5, I learned that what growing up in the hood taught me is how to adapt to my surroundings. I've learned that wherever I am at, I need to know how to adapt quick, because if you are a person that if you are a person that grew up in your family home probably was dysfunctional, or like for me, my grandmother raised me. So my grandmother raised me, and she had other people in the house. She had some of her adult children in the house. So you got to learn how to adapt to the situation you're in, right? You got to learn how to adapt. So that's what I had to learn to do, to adapt to, the living situation. We had a lot of people in that house. When I grew up, my grandmother had a lot of folks in that house. I know it was two to a bed in the room that I was in. We had a bunk bed. We had a bunk bed and two other beds in one room, and all those beds was full, beds were full, so it was four. You kind of had like the girls' room, you had the boys' room, then you had my grandmother's room, and you still had people sleeping in the living room. So we were deep in there. So, but you had to learn how to. I had to learn how to adapt, and I appreciate that. But it was all, it was all family in there, and I was thankful just to have a roof over my head, and I was with my own family, not just some stranger, some random people. That's why I said it taught me how to be appreciative. Number three, regardless of my situation, I always was appreciative because I'm like, at least I'm with my own family. Once I got older, like, at least I wasn't with some strangers I didn't know, that's doing all types of craziness to me. At least I was with my own blood grandmother and family. So it did teach me how to adapt to my surroundings. It taught me how to adapt because we were deep up in that thing. We were deep. And sometimes, you know, I have to remind myself that of where I came from. I have to remind myself to keep me grounded, to keep me appreciative and thankful for everything that I have, everything that I could get, and everything that I can do for myself and on my own. I have to be, thankful for that, right? I have to be thankful. Exactly, Dominique. That's important too, because once you do get violated as a child, that's how the enemy comes in. He tries to destroy the chosen ones because he tries to get them as children, mess them up as children, so they can be dysfunctional in their mind and unstable, and they don't know who they are. I know. Look, I know how that is. We have to learn to be thankful, and that's one thing I can't stand, an ungrateful person, because it reminds me of my struggle. Like, you complain about something simple, and I think about how I had to grow up, and they're complaining about something simple. You got to wait for an extra 10 minutes. I'm like, sit down somewhere, And that's what happens, Dominique. This world we create, this world and the vastness and the quick, instant things have created a lot of ingrates. The world has created a lot of ingrates and people, you know, doing too much too quick. You know, people have become very ungrateful and unthankful for the small things. That's why I give God thanks. Part of my prayer is giving God thanks for food, for water, for a roof over my head, even if it's something I don't want or I don't need, or if it's something I don't have, I still give thanks for what I have, for what I do have. Probably do, Dominique. That's a painful thing. That's what the enemy does. Yeah, he used your parents because it's gonna be hard for her unless she gets delivered, because she's thinking, how could the person who's supposed to protect me harm me? This person that brought me into the world, that who blood I carry, and that's going to hurt. Yeah, that yes, and you have to, and keep praying for her, because that will mess a person up if they don't get delivered, if they don't hold on, like if they don't hold on to God and really seek His face so He can do the inner work in them. That'll mess a person up. I'm not going to lie, that will mess a person up. That will mess the person up, and then especially if you say something and people don't believe you, you know, if people don't believe that something happened to you like that. Because in a lot of our, a lot of the people who look like us, we had a lot of that incest going on because of, you know, our ancestors being disobedient. So a lot of us, our bloodline had a lot of that incest going on, and that stuff just passed down to generation to generation. Exactly, and that's understandable, Dominique, because you don't want um you don't want your sister hurting. You don't want your sister hurting, and that's what I try to always talk to my children and ask them. And I try not to be too overbearing and not try to scare them or anything, but I always ask them, even when they were in school, even when I took them to church, I always used to teach them and tell them that nobody's not supposed to do anything to you, touch you in any areas. You're not supposed to be kissing nobody in any areas because to a child, when a pedophile gets to a child, that child is innocent. That child don't know about this perverted stuff, so they're not going to comprehend really what somebody is doing to them. Let alone if it's your own parent, own grandmother, own uncle, cousin, sibling, they're not going to comprehend. And unfortunately, the devil used these people. They use these folks. Yeah, and that's sad, Dominique. But just keep praying for her. Yeah, keep praying for her. Ask God to deliver her. And unfortunately, you pray for people, and there's really nothing you could do when when things are out of your control. If you can get her to someone who's powerful in deliverance, you know, if she decides to go, but that's the thing, and that's the thing, because the enemy don't want it. The enemy too don't want to be exposed. The enemy doesn't want the truth to come out. That's why in families, people keep things under the rug for so long. They keep things under the rug for so long. They don't want to make people look bad. That's why abusers could abuse a lot of people because they can get away with it. They can get away with it. They can sweep things underneath the rug, so to say. They can sweep things underneath the rug, and nobody says nothing. Nobody challenges it. People ignore it. I've known some people that do that. I know people that do that, did that, knowing you got a molester in the family, but nobody won't say nothing. Or we'll use religion to cover it up. Just pray for them. No, no, pray for them. Call the police on that petty. Report it. But yet these people who they're abusing and don't messed up, these people don't lost their minds. They don't lost their minds. And then the family. See, this why I don't like to see the chosen one. This is why we stay isolated. We stay isolated and by ourselves because we want to address the foolishness. We want to address what they're trying to sweep under the rug. We want to shed light on it. And sometimes when we shed light on it, guess what? People are going to come up against us. They're going to hate us for it. But it's okay because I'd rather for you to hate me for truth than me live a lie, than me live and know stuff going on and I don't say nothing. Yeah, they want. That's what they want. And you got these spirits that's over families that I call this little hush hush spirit. They got these little hush hush spirits in families that these family members, they know things are going on through the bloodline. They know things are going on, and they sit and ignore it. They only talk about it when it's beneficial to them. When it's you know when they think they know stuff. Because I don't think nobody is going to, unless you're just an evil person, unless you're just an evil person. Because I've known some people that do this. I've known some people that do this. Some people will lie on folks to to defame a person's character. They'll lie on folks, but the ones who are telling the truth, you will know because they'll have details. It comes natural out of their mouth of what happened. They're not hesitating. The story's not changing every 5 minutes. Exactly, everlasting curve. Exactly. And some families come from a bunch of family of enablers. Got enablers in the family. They enable the men while the women are strong. They call to the men. The men don't have no backbone in some families. Because the women got this dominating spirit, and it's supposed to be the man taking the lead in the families under, the guidance of God. But the women leading the families. They got the little dominant, the little Jezebel spirit, little controlling spirit. And instead of telling the men that they're wrong and they need to man up and seek God to be stronger, they sit and coddle and enable dysfunction. Enable dysfunction. One thing about me, I'm not going to enable nobody. You're going to stand on your own, too. You're going to be accountable for yourself. Yes, you are. Told my kids that. Told my kids, y'all going to be accountable for yourself. I'm not going to be the one warring and fighting when you are making decisions that's going to put you in a place where you're going to receive consequences. I'm not finna do it. If you don't want to receive wise counsel, that's on you. Exactly, everlasting curve. Mhm. Kenyatta, I'm fine, dear. Yes. I'm not gonna enable mine. I'm not gonna enable. No, I'm not gonna do it. Yes. Mothers who look like me, we're notorious for that. Enable the men and the girls got to get out there and get it. The girls are strong, the men are weak. And the only reason some women enable the men like that because they don't want their sons to grow up and become men. They don't want their sons to grow up and become men. They don't want them to grow up because they want to keep, especially if they're single mothers. If they're single mothers, they don't want their sons to grow up because they want to keep their sons for themselves. because they don't have a man. They don't have a man, so they want to keep that son as a son husband, a husband son. Mm-mm. No, I want all my kids to grow up and flourish, and I want them to be able to stand on their own if I leave here. If I leave here, got to be able to, because life is going to life. Life is going to life, and these children have to know how to manage without somebody crippling them, enabling them. They got to be able to know how to pay their own bills and figure out ways to make money to survive. And you know, I just want to leave them in a spiritual inheritance, not just the worldly one, because you're gonna need God in this world. You're gonna need to know how to call on God. And I'm not talking about religion.
I didn't know my Bluetooth was on. Oh yeah, that's demonic, Dominique. That's all that is. That's demonic. And she needs to be delivered. She need to be delivered. But yeah. Um yeah, but these kids need to know how to stand on their own. And then sometimes it's hard raising children, because you get these children that, because I've experienced, I talk about it all the time, you get these children that don't want to listen. They don't want to take wise counsel because they want to do what they want to do. And they think what you're saying is outdated. I told my kids, y'all gonna eat your own mess. However y'all turn out, I'm not gonna take responsibility for it. I told them that because I'm doing the best I could do. And if I could survive what I've went through, not saying, you repeat cycles, right? It's not saying that you repeat cycles and you don't take accountability, like if you abuse your children or anything like that. Now, I'm not saying that because I know I haven't. What I'm saying is, and it's another thing, sometimes your children don't understand what you've been through because you didn't talk to them about what you've been through and had to overcome. You don't want to burden them with because some parents don't care. I'm the type of parent, I want my children to be children. I don't want to burden them with my issues. Right? It's hard enough being a parent. I don't want to burden them with my issues, with my upbringing, what I went through. I used to tell my children bits and pieces of stuff. But just to dump all my stuff on them, making them responsible for my emotional well-being, you got some parents like that. They put all their issues on their children and wonder why their children got anxiety. They worry about stuff they shouldn't be worried about. It's bad enough that your children can feel when you're going through stuff. They can feel it. They don't know what you got going on, but they can feel it. Then for you to dump and speak all that on them, that's not good for them. That's not good. And some parents don't know that because they're so selfish. They don't care. They just want, instead of talking to a therapist or a coach or something, they just put all that emotion on them kids, and them children carry that stuff. Now they worried about mama. And mama ain't got no money to pay her bills. And mama got to get me this. And mama got to get me that. No. No. Mm-mm. And you're supposed to be there to help your children. Don't mistake what I'm saying. You're supposed to be there to help them. But if they don't want to take instruction and wise counsel, sometimes you got to let them fall unto their own folly. You got to let them fall so they can learn, and then they'll get it right. You can't always hold their hands. And see, I had to learn that. I had to learn that the kids ain't gonna always listen. I didn't always listen. They're not going to always listen to you. Your job as a mother is to teach them. You know you taught them right from wrong. You know you taught them. And it's their job to take the lesson and the information and apply it to their life. Yes, it is. It's their job. I'm going to speak the truth regardless of what it is. I don't care who it is. I'm speaking the truth. My child, your child, there's consequences. And that's the thing. Sometimes we want to hold these children's hands, and we want to take their side, and not thinking about, you're not going to always be here. You're not going to always be here. Life is going to teach them what you didn't teach them. No, she got to let you have your identity, Dominique. And you can't compare your children. You can't compare your children. They got their own identity, own strength. You know, they're all different. You got to parent each one different. You got to parent, like with my baby, my 12-year-old, how I parent my older 3 compared to him is totally different. They even look at me like, Mom, you didn't let us get away with that. You didn't let us do this. You didn't, you have to parent different. Can't compare your children. They're all unique in their own way. Oh, that's okay, Dominique. I always be talking. Look, I already said my 5 points about what growing up in the hood, 5 things growing up in the hood taught me. And I be talking anyways. I start off on one thing. Look, I start off on one thing and be ended up somewhere else. And then even as parents, we got to remember, we're not perfect. You're only doing the best you can do with the time you have on this earth and with the time that you have available if you're not working. We can't compare. And see, that's what we have to remember. You can't compare how we were raised and compare these children to how we were raised back in the days. Because when we were raised, we had a community. I said this the other day. We had a community. Although some of the communities were dysfunctional, we had a community. We had people working together. You didn't have to take your child to daycare. Grandma kept your baby. You didn't have to do a lot of things you're doing on your own because you had a support system. Your family lived down the road. Your auntie lived down the road, in the same community. You had friends, family friends. Now, you got daycares. You drop your child off to daycare. They go to aftercare. The mother got to work. If the dad is not there in the home with them, the mother's taking the mom's taking most of the responsibility. She got to take the child to school, pick the child up, make sure they doctor's appointments, then working full time. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Hi, Anik. How are you doing? It's a lot of work. And you got to think about that. Like, there's no way you can compare unless you just got the money to hire help. Because if you working 8 hours a day, you got 24 hours in a day. Think about it. You got 24 hours in a day. 9 of those hours you on somebody's job. Sometimes y'all on people's job 12 hours a day. That don't leave you with much time. You sleep in the other part. Then you have to cook. You got to break it down like this so you can see. That's why I took my Superwoman cape off years ago. I took that cape off because I felt like I had to do everything. I was working full time. I was coming home cooking these long meals, taking care of the kids. Thank God I was younger during that time, and I had the energy, but my body was breaking down. I was breaking down mentally. And there's I am Katiba. There is no, listen. And that's another thing. Just because a person stay home, Anique, just because they're at home, people think that's easy. If you're not working outside of the home, it's hard. How do you think working outside of the home, then try to come home and take care of family? You don't have a lot of time. You really don't, Dominique. We got to think about this stuff. The school system is raising our children, so you really don't know what's going on in there. You just entrusting these people to teach your child, and they making an impression on your child how they want to make an impression. Yeah, because they don't understand, Anique. We're not in the 70s. Everything's different. Yes, I did, Dominique. I said, forget that cake. I didn't have time because I was trying to go to school. That's something I've always wanted to do. That was a personal thing of mine. I've always wanted to go to school, so I was going to school. I was working full time, but I was going to school part-time at that time. I was married, had children, trying to cook, coming home every day cooking them long southern meals, how my grandmother used to do it. I stopped that foolishness. I don't care what nobody say. If you want a traditional wife, and people argue about this, but if you're not living it and you don't know what it is, you can't speak on nobody else's situation. You can't speak on nobody else's situation. You got these people out here foolish. You can't apply everything to somebody. You can't say what's best for me in your situation. And I can't say what's best for you. You can't say that. You can't apply, oh, this is what's going on. That's what's going on. Women need to be more of this. Women need to be more of that. Everything has changed. The cost of living has changed. Everything has changed. And I was only doing what I saw my grandmother do. But I had to wake up and get some common sense. And I had to remember my grandmother didn't work. When she cooked them meals and we had meals, food every day, hot meals every day, my grandmother didn't work. She was home. She was home. And then the time when she did work, when she worked for somebody, she was a house nanny for someone. She would cook for them, and then she'll bring leftovers to her house. Exactly, Anique, and that's the best thing to do. You're smart. If I can do it over, I'm thinking about homeschooling mine. But I don't know how I'm gonna get the money. I'm trying to come up with the way. Because I see the effect it's having on these children. Being in these schools and, with these different agendas and stuff. And giving them, I wish if I could do it, I'm gonna do it. Yep. But it's different. It's just different. Yeah, it's different. You can't really Exactly. So you have a plan. And that's what I was always saying, Anique. My whole thing with getting my education, and my grandmother, she used to talk to me about it anyway. She instilled that in me. She didn't have money to send me to school. She just knew it was help, and I could, figure out a way. If I had the knowledge I have now, I would not have went the way I went. I would have just paid as I went, paid as I go. But I took out loans, and that was the only way I knew at the time. But she always talked to me about making sure I finished school, because she didn't finish school. She only had a 3rd grade education. So my goal was to always finish school. regardless of if I had a man or not. My main goal was making sure I'm able to take care of myself, and it had nothing to do with me not able to submit to a man. Because if a person if a husband came and told me I didn't have to work, guess what? I would have been home. I would have worked from home. I would have worked from home. I would have found it wasn't because I don't have the not working bone in me. But I would have been doing some things from home. And if I would have known what I know now, back in when my son was born, 2011, if I would have known what I know now, I would have quit my job. Because we paid a lot of money for daycare. And it would have been cheaper for me to stay home and at that time live off my husband's income, and I could have made a little extra money from home to help pay bills too. Still, I could have had my little yard sales or sold things online. I could have did it, but I just couldn't plan it out because I was so caught up in the routine. When you get caught up in the routine, you can't really think. And all that money I saw that we spent in daycare, I could have blew a fuse. Look, I could have blew a fuse. I'm like, this is why we couldn't buy a house. I'm like, this is why we couldn't save for our down payment on the house, because the down payment is going in childcare. Hey, Jacqueline, how are you doing, dear? Exactly, Anik. Girl, if I would have known. But see, you don't be knowing because, one, when you get caught up in that rat race, when you get caught up in what they call the matrix, working, going home, you in that daily grind, and you don't break that routine, it's hard for you to sit down and reflect. It's hard for you to sit down and reflect to see what's working for you and what's not working for you. Because if I would have sat down ahead of time, I would have saw that what I was making on my job, it was not even worth me going to work. It wasn't worth me going to work because we got paid every other week. So twice a month, sometimes 3 times, depending on how the paycheck fall. One of my checks went to daycare. One of my checks went to daycare. And we could have lived because God showed me recently we could have lived well and still had some extra. But that's what happens when you don't have a person that's on the same page with you. When you don't have a person that's on the same aligned with you, you can't look at stuff like that. Right? When you're not in alignment with the right person, you can't, it's almost like you fighting against yourself. It's like you're fighting against yourself. When you don't have a person that's on one accord with you consistently, it's hard for you to see those things because you're so busy trying to manage the relationship. You can't focus on finances. You can't focus on what's important. You just living. This is why alignment is so important. Exactly. It surely can, Anik. People don't understand, but you can't beat yourself up about that because when you don't know better, you don't do better. But when you know better, you start doing better. But sometimes the damage is already done. It's already done. And we only make decisions based on where we are at that time. And if the person is not willing to grow with you, yes, it's going to be hard. And you got to be okay, You got to be okay with, letting things go. You don't have to hate the person or people. You just got to be okay, it's not working. But I thought about all of that money that was wasted just to go on a job that, you know, sometimes we get caught up in stuff, and it's just crazy how we get caught up in stuff sometimes, and it's crazy how we just go and get caught up on the little hamster wheel. You know, you get caught up on a hamster wheel until something like COVID happened. When I tell you, when COVID happened, people woke up. Folks woke up. You hear me? I was one of them too. Folks woke up. And I love seeing people tapping into their gifts, their creativity, what God gave them. They tapped into their gift. They saw these jobs and cared nothing about them. Some of them. They tapped into their gifts. Everybody started doing what they didn't have no other choice. Because if you get laid off, you don't have any other choice. I love seeing that. And I supported so many. I don't even know how many I supported. I was buying food and buying items and books and all kind of stuff. Yes, because it's ridiculous, Anik. It is ridiculous. Childcare is expensive. And then just think about if you don't have a person, if you have the child, you married, right? And y'all end up getting a divorce or separating or whatever, and they don't want to cooperate. They don't know how to take care of their responsibilities. All the burden is on the one person. That's a lot. It is. I mean, that's why you have to pray. You pray, and you ask God to send you the one. He'll show you. He'll show you. Especially you waited all this time, baby. He'll show you. He'll show you. He'll show you. Yeah, Anik. I'm sure that was hard, dear. I'm sure that was hard, and people don't understand. And sometimes people could be so evil. They want it to be hard for you. They'll rather hurt their own children than to make sure that the person who's taking care of their kids are all right. They'll rather hurt their own kids. They don't care. That's just how evil some of them are. That's why I said, listen, my children's dad, they ain't got to worry. He ain't got to worry about me. Not wanting him to get them. Do you want to take them? You want them to move? Listen, you need me to drop them out? When? How often? There's no limits. You know, women can't do that. Men can't do that. If you make them children together, y'all responsibility is them children. If y'all don't make it, them kids, especially if you got young kids, adults, you know, they're adults. They know how to commune and communicate with their parents. That you don't need a person to intervene. When we got young kids, them kids need both parents. Both parents. Whether you like the parent or not. Unless they're just evil and harm the children, that's different. Because you got some parents just are wicked. And you just can't trust the children around their own parents. But if they're not, you know, evil and wicked, regardless of whatever else they're doing, they're not putting them in danger, let them kids go. Let them kids go. Let them kids go. Because they need their parents. Even if the parent's not doing what you want them to do. You can't control that. You just got to pray for them and let them kids go. Because they're still their parent. Even if they may be unfit in your eyes or don't do what you want to do. You can't control that. They don't need to be crying. They let them kids stay home. Latchkey. Look, if they're not, babies. Yeah, them latchkey kids. But you got to train them up. We got to go back to the old ways. Listen, teach them kids. Don't open that door. I don't care who comes to it. If it's not emergency, don't open the door. We got phones now. We should be able to be safe. We got cameras. Put cameras in the house. Put cameras in the house and leave they butts right in there. We did it. Yeah, Dominique, if you don't trust your parents, listen, don't let them kids go. And see, I didn't know that when I was younger, because I used to let my kids go different places, especially my oldest. I used to let him go different places. And I shouldn't have been doing that. But, I was a young mom. And you think you can trust people. And you can't really trust people like that with the children, because you don't know, people be feeling some type of way about you, and they'll hurt your children to get to you. If they can't get to you, they'll do something to your children. Yep, I trusted too many people, my oldest. With my last three, no. I don't care who you are. They can't go around until they could talk. If they can't talk, Exactly, Anik. I understand. Yep, I understand. But it depends on your situation sometimes, if you're not, and see, that's the thing. Some parents don't have that luxury. So sometimes you got to do what you have to do. Let them kids know. You got to tell them too. You got to tell them step by step. That's just like, especially these kids, when I was growing up, we knew implied information. Like, we knew clean up the kitchen means everything. Mop the floor, sweep. Mop the floor, sweep. Everything. Clean the pots. With these kids, like, you got to tell them to do all of that. You got to make sure, and they're right, it's not their fault. You got to make sure that you tell them exactly what to do. Don't do this, don't do that, do this, and do this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah. Yep. And it's only going to make us more creative, Anik. You just have to find more creative ways. And that's why some people just started working from home. They started working from home. They opened their own businesses so, they can avoid childcare. Yeah, we need community. We do. Yeah, we don't have, that's what we lost over the years. We lost that sense of community because, family are all scattered all over the states now. People leave communities to go find work, right? They used to leave. They started leaving the communities to go, once they finish college, guess what? They going to the state that's going to give them the best job. And that's what happened. That's what happened. But I know with some people that I know, their parents move close to them to help. I guess that's when you got money like that. Listen, everybody's not able. I know I want to be there for my children. That's why I'm trying to get myself in a situation when my daughters and sons start having babies. I want to be that grandmother, that mother to help as much as I could. I want to be in good health. I'm going to start eating right so I can be young and vibrant and in good health, Mm-hmm. Well, that's good, Anik. Yeah, you have to find community. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, things have changed. I'm so glad my kids are older now. Because it is a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And then you don't want people throwing stuff up in your face. You know, people do things for you. I had somebody to do something for me, only to throw it up in my face. That told me that they didn't do it from their heart. They were looking for something in return. So that person didn't have to worry about me again when it came to my children. They ain't never had to worry about me again. I started paying, and that's when I started paying money. I started paying money if I wanted to go out on the town, you know, with my husband. I hired a babysitter for 4 hours. Because people, when you need them, they seem like they'll be there for you. And then if something you say or don't do or don't like, they'll throw it up in your face. They'll throw it up in your face. And see, I don't operate like that. Because everything I do from the heart. I do from, you know, because that's what I want to do. Or just to help you out. But I'm not going to be throwing it up in your face. Mm-hmm. I don't be liking people that do stuff like that. You do stuff because that's what you're supposed to do. My kid, like I tell my kids, don't owe me nothing. My job as a parent is to parent them. Make sure they can stand on their own too as adults. I don't have to say, I raised you and, you know, like I did all this for you. That's my job until you become an adult. Anything after you become legally an adult, I don't have to do it. I do it because I want to. I do it because I want to. Not because I have to. Me taking care of you, making sure you got a roof over your head, you eating, you know, getting your spiritual, your spirit, like me being a parent to the best of my ability, that's my job. My kids don't owe me nothing. They don't have to repay me back for that. That's my job, to make sure they can raise them, make sure they can, you know, survive on their own without me. I think I paid that girl at the time, this was years ago, $12 an hour. Yep, I think I paid her $12 an hour. Or maybe 15. It was $12 to $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. But yeah. But you know, as parents, you just try to do the best you could, you know? You try to do the best you could with the information you have. And that's all you can do. No, Dominique, you don't owe your mama nothing, baby. I don't know why. I don't know why our parents think we owe them the world. They got to get out of that. That's not how that go. That's what you're supposed to do. As a mother, as a father. I remember, because when I first got in a relationship, you know, with my husband at the time, we were dating, we were real young. We were not married then. I remember some of his friends used to say, "Oh, you babysitting?" I said, "He's not babysitting, these his kids. He don't babysit his own children, he taking care of his children." Like, that's stupid to say he's babysitting. No, he's watching his children. And you know, there's nothing wrong with helping your parents out. Now, don't get me wrong. See, I don't want people to think I'm saying don't help your parents. My thing is that your parents should have this obligation Is put this pressure on you like you owe them. Yes, common sense tell us we got to be there for our parents when they get old, if they need us. But it's not an obligation. Don't put that pressure on your children because you raised them. Now they owe you their life because you raised them. That's what you were supposed to do. Raise them children to the best of your ability. Even if you didn't give them everything that they wanted, you did the best you could. That was your job. That was your job. You did your job. You were not abusive, verbally abusive. You did your job. No, you can't put pressure on these children, these children to be obligated to serve and worship you. You're not God. I'm sorry. I did a video on that. Sometimes the moms, the parents think the children are they're their children's God. You're not your child's God. They want their own family. Got their own wife and family they got to raise and focus on. You should be proud that's what they want to do. No, kids don't. I don't know why, especially I heard that a lot in our black community. I ain't never heard that from nobody else, but in our community, because I'm mostly with our people. I used to hear parents say that, and that's the wrong attitude to have. Them kids don't owe you their life. They don't owe you that. The kids owe God their life. God died for them. God died for them. You didn't die on no cross for your child. You're just a vessel anyways. Your children don't belong to you. I don't know where we get that from. We got to change the way we think about that stuff. Like, no. You're supposed to respect your parents and you honor them as the Bible says. You honor them. The Bible didn't say you worship your parents. You honor them. Respect them. But don't make them into a God. They're not a little mini God. No. And once your children become adults, there shouldn't be no you do as I say. Once they become adults, they're adults. They got their own thinking. They're gonna do what they want. They're gonna do what they want to do. Only thing you're doing now when they become adults is you guiding them. You telling them the truth. You tell them the truth. Oh, that's sad, Dominique. Yeah, she need to be delivered. Some of these parents, they can get wicked. Oh yeah, they get jealous too of that. Not just your mom, sometimes your children, your spouse. They don't like that because see, she mad at you because of your relationship with God, because she's not in that God place. She's not little G. Look, she's not little G. And once these parents, I don't know why, some black parents just think these kids supposed to kiss the ground they walk on. Like, I don't know where they get that from, but I saw it a lot growing up. You gotta respect your mama. I'm mama. I'm your mama. And just as evil and wicked. Yeah. God say, honor thy mother and thy father. They love to try to keep that put that scripture on you to keep you in bondage. Like, no, that's not how you do that. Yes, you honor your mother and your father. I never tell you to go against the Bible. But check your attitude, mama. Don't provoke your child to wrath. That's what the word says. You don't supposed to be provoking them. It's not just about you as the mother. Your job is to tell the truth to these babies. Tell them the truth. Love is not like. Love is not liking your child. Love is, your child out there thugging and drugging. This is love. Love is, your child is thugging and drugging. As a mother, your job is to sit down and tell them the truth. Baby, if you keep doing this here, it's going to lead you down a deadly road. or ask them, what is the reason? What's the reason for you using drugs? That's not how you deal with your issues. Drugs don't solve anything. Thugging don't solve it. Why are you so angry? What you got going on where you have to take something from somebody? Work for what you want. It is. It is sad. Exactly. You got that one. Do as I say, not as I do. No, that's the wrong one. We know these children gonna do what we do. These children gonna do what we do. You know, back in the day, a lot of them parents, like Anik say, they were bipolar. They were dealing with mental health issues. A lot of us are traumatized. We got trauma passed down through our bloodline. They say they did trauma parenting. And it's not their fault. But at the same time, you got to teach them. When you recognize that, you got to teach them how to deal with you. You got to teach them, no, mama, you ask me, can I do it? You're not going to tell me as an adult what I'm going to do. I may not have time. I may be working. Because, some of these parents think they own their kids. They think they own their adult kids. And that's sad. Your child is not property. Your child, you don't have legal rights to your child, to controlling your child. That's a demonic witchcraft attitude to have. Don't get mad at that child because they got a job and they can't come do stuff for you. Exactly. You got to be respectful. Once these children become adults, and it goes both ways. You don't have to bow down to your child. You don't have to kiss your adult child behind because they think, these kids sometimes get in their head too. Just because they're young, they think you're getting older and you're going to need them. And if they don't want to do right and be respectful and treat you how you're treating them, you don't have to kiss their butt either. You got to let them live their life and you be okay with it. Find you something to do with your life. Get healthy. Start eating right. If you can. Yeah. Yeah, some of these parents can be, and you got some grandparents out there too now. Come on now, let's tell the truth, shame the devil. You got some grandparents that are jealous of the parents. You got grandparents out there jealous of these parents because these parents don't trauma parent. They don't trauma parent. You like to have fun with your kids. And they'll come and try to come in between that. Any little disagreement y'all have, the grandparent right there stirring up the pot. I told you your mama was this. I told you your mama was that. I don't like them kind either. I don't like them kind of witches. Them witches. They love to divide. Instead of creating unity, they like to divide. Yeah, they haters. Neat. They so jealous. They're so jealous and don't know how to say they jealous, but they'll show you. Cause then they try to come up in between the relationships you have with your children. What they'll do is sit in the background and give your children stuff so they can win them over. And as soon as y'all have a little falling out, cause it's most likely you're gonna have some disagreement with the child. It don't supposed to last forever, but that grandmother back there provoking. That grandmother back there provoking and creating all of the toxicity with her little hateful self because she miserable and don't have a life. She don't want nobody else to enjoy their children to have a life. And unfortunately, some of these kids believe that stuff. They believe it and they let that grandparent overpower. And it's hard. You can't get mad at the child because the child, they don't understand. They don't know how to fight that demonic pressure. They feel that demon on that grandmother pulling them, right? They feel that demon on them. And they don't know how to fight that. Exactly. Anik, and them kids, listen, when I tell you, when you got them grandparents that like to divide and separate, you just keep praying. You stay on your knees and you ask God to open their eyes. You ask God to open that child's eyes and watch how they open up and they gonna see. They gonna see and look, they think what that child did to you was bad and how they treated you. You wait till that table turn. You wait till that table turn. You wait until that table turn. Then they gonna want to call you. Don't you know? No, you call them right out. You don't rejoice in their grief. Don't rejoice in their pain, but call them out. You remember? That's what you say. You call it out. You remember when you had him to do? Don't call me. Don't call me. You remember when you had him to do this? Oh yeah, that happened too, Anik. I know what you mean. Everlasting curve. No, she did. That's being wise, especially if it's good chicken. Oh yeah, we gotta laugh sometimes. I'm always laughing. See, one thing I'm not gonna let the devil do is steal my joy. That's what I'm not, because that's what he want. That's what you ever notice people who are miserable, say it's your parents, spouse, children, co-worker. They see you happy, got a little glow on you. They go to acting up. They go to acting up. Yes, Anik, they jealous. And it don't have to be that you prospering naturally. They can see your spirit prospering. They see you happy in your spirit and you content in your spirit. And them devils don't like that. I ain't hiding nothing from them. They're going to see that. They're going to get this glow of need. They're going to get all of it. They're going to get all of it. Listen, I ain't hiding nothing. They better put on some shade. Look, I'm gonna shine so bright. They better get them some shade. Look, put them shades on. That's what they gonna do. Oh yes, I know them kind of Anik. I understand. Oh, I know them kind. Well, them demons there, they ruthless. Oh yeah. Anything that they see you enjoy, they attack it. Anything they see you enjoying, they come up against it. And that's why you got to be willing to let that go. You got to be willing to let it go. I had one demon come up against me. She thought she was going to control me through some little witchery she did. Thought she was going to control me. I said, oh, no, you're not going to control me with this situation, Lord. No, you're not going to control me. What you're going to do is you're going to stay over there in your own little misery, and I'm going to let you have this situation. Because I know the God I serve, he going to change. He going to turn that thing around. I just got to take my hands off of it. Think you going to steal my joy? I'm not going to let you steal my joy because you don't have a life. I'm not playing with these demons in this season. You hear me? I'm not playing with them. I'm not playing with them. You hear me? Like Tony Gaskin saying, my Tony Gaskin voice blocked. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. And people think because you don't allow them and they little witchery and they little evil to come around you, they think you in unforgiveness. No, that's that. I'm operating in wisdom, honey. It's not unforgiveness. It's not unforgiveness to not have you around me, monitoring me. You know, you trying to plant your little evil seeds. You trying to see what's going on. That's called operating in wisdom. I don't know what type of witchery you on, but it's operating in wisdom for me. Don't you? She won't be able to gaslight me. You want to gaslight herself because I don't deal with her. I don't deal with her. I do not deal with it at all. Don't hate you, but I don't deal with you. Keep you and your little witchery over there. Keep you and your little evil spirits and your little minions. Y'all stay right over there. No, we ain't doing that in this season. I don't have time. Nope. I don't have time at all. Keep you and your demons. Yeah, you gonna fight with your own demons. You fight with yourself. You're not gonna put that on me. Look, you call havoc in somebody else's life. You go get delivered. I'm getting mine. Oh yeah, they don't like when you do that, Anik. That's why it's good to get off social media sometimes, especially when the Lord direct you. Yes, when the Lord direct you to shut down your social media, because the monitoring spirits out there. I had one person. This same little evil witch. Don't like me in no type of way now. But on every social media platform, you want to request me as a friend. I blocked her butt. I blocked her. I won't be surprised she don't have a and this is an obsession. This is a demonic obsession. I'm surprised she don't have a fake profile. No, they're not Anik. Yep, and people like to not like you in real life, but they want to be friends with you on social media so they can monitor you. No, if you don't deal with me in real life, if I don't have a good vibe with you, we're not gonna be friends on social media. Hey, Keisha McNeil. Oh, Keisha, I didn't forget about you with that video. I know you wanted me to with that video, but I had my reasons for not making it public. I think I mentioned too in the video I wasn't going to make it public. I went back to look at it and I have it unlisted. So that's why I didn't share it out. It was a reason that I didn't share it. I didn't forget about you. But yeah, I don't have time. I don't have time for, Oh, the little witch, Dominique. Look, the one little wicked witch of the West who's always trying to stir up stuff. Yeah, the one lady who always trying to stir up stuff. I wouldn't call her name. Always stirring up stuff, trying to monitor. But you don't like somebody and you just want to be on there. So, no, that's wicked. Woman, you wicked. Then she had like an obsession with me. For you not to like a person, that's dangerous. When people like that, you got to be serious. You got to take them people serious. Yes, and this lady, she's of age. She's up there in her 60s. Yeah, she's up there. I don't have time. You got to take these spirits seriously. Take these spirits. See, when people get like that and they got this obsession, you can't be too thrilled with that. You got to take that thing serious, because them people like that, they'll hurt you. Oh, she's bad. You talking to me, Dominique? No. You take that stuff serious. You take it serious. We don't be taking it serious because of familiarity, like because people familiar. No. You take that stuff serious. Yes, you do. You take it serious. You don't play around. You don't play around with people who are jealous of you. You don't play around with people who do evil things to you. Yeah, she is. She's a real one too. Dominique. She's a real one. Trying to harm you spiritually, put witchcraft and stuff. No, I can't deal with you. I can't deal with you, and I'm not. I don't care what nobody say. If people haven't experienced your experience, you can't worry about what they're going to think. Because we all know that wicked people, they don't treat everybody the same. They only treat the people who are a threat to them spiritually some type of way. They only treat the people who they can't control a certain type of way. They only treat the people who don't bow to them, who can see straight through them a certain type of way. They love on everybody else. So people will be looking like, I don't know who she talking about. She can't be talking about the same person. Because she don't treat me like that. No, I'm talking about the same person. I'm talking about the same person. That person right there, she don't treat me how she treats you. Yes. And people do that too as a form of manipulation. Because they want people to think that you're the one that got the problem. But even with some people, sometimes they can't even hide it because people can see through their wickedness. People can see through their wickedness. People know how mean they are. You know, people can see, they can see how mean, you know, how nasty and mean they are. That's why it don't make sense to be fake and phony. But sometimes people can see how folks are, but they won't say nothing. They won't say nothing. But yeah, I don't be having time. Not in this season. Last season, I tolerated and dealt with stuff. This time, I don't have time for no. That's not what we're going to do. We're not going to do that over here. Yeah, God will protect you. He'll open your eyes. See, Dominique, sometimes when God opened our eyes, we don't want to believe it. Because when he opened my eyes about this one person, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know it was that deep. I didn't know it had got that deep. And when the Holy Spirit revealed it to me, I couldn't ignore it. Then he started showing me things, you know, how things were aligning, certain things that happened when it happened. I couldn't ignore that. I couldn't be around that lady. Like, I can't be stupid and continue on to ignore what I see in the spirit. No, I'm not going to ignore that. I never trust her again. Never. I really didn't trust her in the first place, but, you know, due to situation and circumstances, sometimes you just feel obligated. You know? Exactly. Sometimes you just feel obligated because of circumstances, but I don't feel that way no more. If I don't feel good around somebody, I don't care who it is, I'm not going to go around. I'm not going to trust you around my children. I'm not going to trust you around my children because you still got your little evil up your sleeve. Then, you know, if they can't get to you, they'll use proxies. They'll use people who can get access to you. And sometimes you got to cut them people off too. Because they still using them to monitor you. They still using them to monitor you. Asking questions. They always asking about you. And they always be in their mouth. Oh, what they got going on? What's going on over there? What they doing? But yeah, I got to go get me something to eat, you all. But I came to talk about 5 things the hood taught me growing up. And then look. Anik, yes, I've seen that. I've seen that. Because you're not focused on that craft designs. I talked about that yesterday. That happened to me a couple of times. That happened to me. That's not where your focus is. God be protecting you. He be protecting you. Yes, he does. Yep, I talked about that the other day. Yep, you're welcome. You're welcome. I have to get out here, go get me something to eat. I just left salsa class. You know, it was fun. What is it, salsa or salsa? Like salt. I think it's salsa. Oh, exactly. Everlasting curves. Oh, that one lady, she used to do it all the time. Used to invite herself, and I didn't like that because that means you have no respect. You trying to control situations. No, you don't invite yourself. You ask me if you could come or if it's okay. And I never liked it in the first place because you felt like you didn't have to ask. You felt like I was nothing. So, no. I ain't gonna ignore the door. I'm just tell you, you're not welcome. Answer the door. You're not welcome. Close the door. Listen. Like people, I told you, life is, the people make life hard. Somebody say no, it doesn't. Yes, life gets hard. But just imagine if people wasn't in it who were in your life, life wouldn't be hard because people bring unnecessary warfare and challenges to you that you don't necessarily have to deal with. No, life is not going to be perfect. You're going to have, God said it rains on the just and unjust, but you just got some people that are so miserable and wicked. They just don't want to see you they just don't want to see you have no success, no happiness, no joy. They don't want to see you have anything. Like they say, misery loves company. It really does. You could be minding your business, and here they go, coming, talking about foolishness. They love, misery loves company. Have you ever been around somebody, you laughing and having fun, and they over there like them, looking like, what you laughing for? What you laughing? Look, they over there mad because you happy and joyous. You go get you some joy. If you wasn't so wicked, you can laugh. Your soul could rejoice and be, and be jolly. Yeah. You laughing and having fun. I love laughing and having fun. I love laughing and just having fun. That's always been me. I'm a fun person. And the enemy want to zap that out of the chosen ones. He want to zap that energy from you. He wants to make you miserable. That's why he sent people to attack your character. The main thing people attack on the chosen ones is their character. That's why he'll attack your self-esteem. He sent people to attack your self-esteem, to attack and question your parenthood. They want to see, they want to attack your job, your work ethic. They just want to attack stuff that they can't buy. They can't buy good character. They can't buy joy. Exactly, Anik. And when you get to that point, girl, that's a dangerous place. I be telling people that's where I'm headed. When you get to that point where you don't care, you can say what you want to say. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy my life and be happy. Whatever you said, I did it. When you get to that point, no, people ain't gonna want to mess with you. People are not gonna want to mess with. They don't want to mess with you. You hear me? They can't touch a chosen one who got that mindset, Anik. They be trying to provoke you. You sitting there looking at them like they got 5 heads. Like, you're not gonna move me now. But y'all have to get out of here. I've been sitting here talking to you all. But y'all be blessed. Chosen by Christ. How are you doing, dear? Y'all be blessed. I just had to come talk to you all. So I'm gonna find me something to eat. I want me some tacos. I'm in a little area where they sell them good, authentic Mexican tacos. I'm gonna get me some of them tacos. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ride by there and get me some tacos before I go home. Yep. You enjoy your day too, Anik. Y'all be blessed, okay?